Welcome everyone. I'm joined by an amazing family daycare educator, Julia, today, and we will be having a chat about educational philosophies. So, Julia, could you start by introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about your family daycare service?
Hi, so I'm Julia. My family daycare service is it's a regional centre, but it's still really quite country. So I operate from a residence separate to my home, which we just call the cottage. It's Dandelion Cottage, but we just call it the cottage. So I started in July 2023. All my children are under 3 years of age, so I started with very little babies, and we've just grown up since then. Something I guess unusual about my service is that you get a free grandma with your experience. So my mum is a DET teacher as well, so she lives a few hours away from me, but when she comes and visits, she just kind of becomes a part of our service, and everybody just calls her grandma. So that's really lovely.
That is lovely. It's so great. Community is such an important consideration in our philosophies. So can you share a little about your educational philosophy, particularly with us?
Okay, so I believe that children are the experts of being children. Um, their work is play, like Maria Montessori said. As an educator, it's my job to provide a safe and nurturing and stimulating environment for the children so that they're safe and happy, and then let them do their work. Um, I think it's important to also know when to step back, as well as um, so that you actually know when you are invited into their play, and yeah, it's really lovely to be invited into a child's world rather than imposing yourself upon it. Children have a voice. It's our job to listen. Even the smallest of babies can communicate with us, maybe not verbally, but through their body language. It's our job to listen. And each child is an individual with their own needs and their own personalities. And we need to make sure that they're safe and secure so they can be the best versions of themselves that they can. They're so capable. We need to listen to them and let them make decisions about their world.
Fantastic. I love how you talk about how we are being invited into children's play. It can often be a really tricky process to navigate as well, and it's really great to see children just being so central in your thinking. So as we know, developing a philosophy is a journey. Can you walk us through how you created yours?
So to start off with, I really thought about what childhood meant to me and being a child. Um, there's lots of different views out there about, children as sponges or the empty vessel to be filled by the adult learnings, but I really believe that they are born whole and with their own unique personalities and needs and wants. So that really that was my core where I started first. Other influences that I had were my university studies as well. It really made me think about, like, critical reflection. It really made me reflect about what my practices are and how they relate to the big scheme of things in theory, rather just, I mean, rather than relying on my instincts as a mother as well, which is also a very important part, but it's kind of expanded. I'm not the children's mother, I'm their educator, do you know what I mean? I was also really lucky to have a lot of really great mentors throughout the years that have really encouraged me to reflect and think about what education meant to me and really try to encourage me to be true to myself and my values. From there, I went and looked through, I'm an avid rabbit hole, avid reader. I went and researched as much as I could and kind of just cherry picked what I could from what resonated with me from different theories. So a couple that really stood out to me was attachment theory. Um, I think children, and it was really important to me as a parent as well, so that kind of brought that into my practice as well. So I think children really need to be safe and secure and responded to. Um, that also ties in with Maslow's hierarchy of needs as well, like they need to be safe and secure. So from there, I did a circle of security course as well, which really brought to me the fact that children need to be safe, yes, but they also need to be free to go out and explore as well. I looked into Waldorf theory and Reggio Emilia, and I took some really lovely things from there as well. Like with Reggio, like I'm not, I really liked the idea of educators as co-learners. So we're not the expert, you know, it's all about collaboration and especially bringing families in as well. Like you're not just working with the child, it's you know, the whole family unit, which also ties in with Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory, which is the child is the center of ecosystem and everything they influence their world and everything influences them, and it's not just a child in isolation, which it's really makes it really important for community ties and stuff like that. So Waldorf education. So I really like that educational environment is very homely, like it's very familiar. Everything throughout the day forms their curriculum. You know, it's I prefer to do real experiences, like we do cooking and clean, you know, like we clean up after our experiences, like that real work. Like when I had my children, I really looked into rye theory as well. That really believes that we need to treat children with respect and don't interrupt them with their play. And so a part of that was really making sure that the play space was safe.
But you've done such amazing deep thinking and reflection on your journey. It's really great. And what was really excited as I was listening to what you were saying was I could see all of these links that we're, you know, going to be talking about in the webinar and things like that. So thank you for also being able to give us those practical examples of that as well, which is it's so helpful when we're thinking about philosophy. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about now, and you have begun to touch on that as well with the practices, but are there any other ways that you want to talk about the philosophy and how it shapes your day-to-day practice?
So I really went back and had a look at the EYLF and our role. Like in the past, I really thought about education, you know, provocations, keeping them busy, activities everywhere. And I took a step back and I really believe that like care is the most important aspect of education and care. We really need to make sure that the children in our care are safe and secure, because you can't have education without that foundation. And I think a lot of it is just delighting in the children in front of you. Like I think all children need an adult that just thinks they're just amazing, you know, no matter what they do. So that's really kind of the core of what I do. Like I'm not here to educate me, like the children are the centre. So even like down from when I first started my service, like I really thought about what I stood for and how I could communicate that to everyone. So I started with like my logo, like Dandelion Cottage. The reason I chose a dandelion is because dandelions are resilient. You know, they can grow through concrete, and that's you know what I want to help the children in my care become. Like they need to be strong, capable, happy humans. And also I thought about, you know, children picking dandelions, making wishes, which is the whimsy and the magic of childhood, which I think is really important as well. So that was, and I communicate that. I've got a Facebook page, and so you can look at my Facebook page and just know that's what she's about, because I share messages about who I am and what I stand for constantly. So my service is I didn't want learning stations. I've got it. It's a cottage that looks like a cottage. Like it's got a couch. It's got a lounge room, dining room, bedroom. It's really homely, but it's also comfortable for adults as well as children. So we've got dining tables that are a lovely lady actually got it cut down for me. So we've sawn off dining chairs so that adults can sit on them as well, but so can children. And everything, like, I think it's really, somebody told me once that it's really important to, when you're designing areas for children, is to get down at a child level and actually look at what it looks like. So I've been crawling around the cottage a little bit just to see what it looks like. So that, because that's their view, we need to be respectful of that. So I really work hard to make sure that we've got a sense of community at the cottage. So I make sure that all parents know each other and know, who belongs to who. And so another thing that's really important to me is encouraging children to do as much for themselves as they can or want. So I've got, my little toddlers, they carry their lunch boxes to the table, they wipe their faces, they wash their hands, they help me clean up after craft. It's all about helping them to do what they can and want. Like, of course, they're going to want help, and they ask me for help and they get it. So I don't really set up activities for the children. They choose. They have a shelf, and they've got their own little bookshelf that they choose, and they can just flow and do what they need to when they need to, and they know what I've got, so they're very good at asking for what they need. I had an 18-month-old ask me for paper and paint the other day, so that's what we did. It's really important to me to listen to the children and listen to their children's voice and allow them to advocate for themselves. As I said before, a lot of the time I just step back and observe. I won't be digging in the sandpit with them unless they tell me to. Sometimes they do. I tend to kind of support play verbally instead of, getting in the thick of it with them. So from circle security, like, I use anchoring. They come to me like, look at me, and I'll say, oh, what, how amazing, and then off they go again, and just kind of that circle of coming in and out. So I encourage them to advocate for themselves. So I use quite a lot of scripts. So when they were little, I used keyword signs, so they would tell me when they were finished, when they needed to eat. Now it's more verbal, so they're telling, they say, for example, I need space, or my turn, waiting, just to communicate what they need. And even with babies, like tiny babies, like, I will not pick them up, like just scoop them up. It's you wait for them to be ready to be picked up. You'll notice those sorts of things. So that's really important to me, is that you don't do anything to children without their consent and their knowledge. Mm. So I don't have a routine necessarily. I call it a rhythm, more of a rhythm. Like, it's flexible to the day, and they'll tell me what they need. We tend to be hobbits a little bit sometimes, that we have second breakfast and 11s, but that's okay. That's what they need. And I have a music degree as well. So music and creativity is really important to me. So I sing all the time. We make up little songs for routines. Like, I sang, what did I sing the other day? And the children are taking part as well. Like, every time I pick them up to go on the change table, it's up, and down, 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 down. And they, the other day, what did they say? It was, I said, are we ready? Are we ready for bed? And they sang back, no, 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 no. So, it's really cute.
That is great. That is really good. It's really nice. Actually, I was thinking it's really nice to be able to see those great examples of how you've embedded that philosophy throughout, that it is evident in your day-to-day practice, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Before we go, I have one last question. What is some advice that you would give to educators who are either developing or revisiting their educational philosophy?
Okay, so start off thinking that image of the child is absolutely essential. Like, you can't make a philosophy if you don't know who you're making the philosophy for. And that could include, what are your values? What would that look like in day-to-day practice? And then gather information and see, you don't have to stick to one thing. You can cherry pick, I like this part out of this resonates with me, that resonates, and then bring it all together. And don't stop learning, don't stop constantly researching. And live and breathe it. You've got to, it's not worth the paper it's written on if it's not your daily practice and a part of who you are and how you operate. That's really important.
Fantastic. Such great advice and important messages as well for everyone to take away and remember. So I just would like to thank you again for sharing and giving your time and again just sharing that journey that you've been through with us today. Thanks, Julia.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.